Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you, Ms. Riska. Can we please have the roll call?
Mayor Taylor,
Here.
Sarosky,
Here.
Koski,
Present.
Mr. Radke,
Present.
Schmidt,
Present.
Mr. Gaddis,
Here.
Present.
Thank you, Council. We need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item on our agenda is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me begin by reminding everyone that you can sign up for our Civilian Fire Academy and come and learn and what it takes to be a Sterling Heights firefighter. So join us for the academy. It will start on September 18th and run for 4 weeks. Students will participate in fire extinguishing training, vehicle extrication, simulated fire attack, CPR, use of an AED, in which you'll get certified on each. Class size is limited, so we encourage you to take note of this and sign up as soon as you can. You can go to our website to sign up, so just go to sterlingheights.gov and you can get more information, including the application. And also, we have a Let's Vote community forum coming up. The city clerk's office is hosting a voting community forum on Tuesday, July 9th from 6 p.m. In City Hall in the council chambers. The city clerk's staff will help voters navigate the voting process for the upcoming 2024 presidential election. And on that note, I wanted to highlight another achievement of our city clerk. The Sterling Heights City Clerk Melanie Riska has been sworn in as the new Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks, known as MAMC, president. MAMC is comprised of nearly 1,300 members representing almost 800 communities across the state of Michigan. While the role will be challenging, knowing it's a presidential election, which will certainly yield numerous media interviews, speaking engagements, event attendance, and legislative efforts as well, we all know that Ms. Riska will certainly represent the city, the state of Michigan, and MAMC members very well. Additionally, her well-trained team will maintain the excellent standard of service that has become second to none. We're very lucky in Sterling Heights to have Ms. Riska and her team running our elections, and they really are a model for others to follow. So I wanted to congratulate Ms. Riska. We look forward to seeing your great work on the state stage, and congratulations.
Thank you.
And Mayor, continuing on to the next item on my report, as you know, we frequently spotlight businesses in our city under our Business Spotlight program, and we're super pleased to include an exciting spotlight this evening. Let me see if I can get this going without messing it up. And I probably will mess it up. Oh, the problem is it's not touchscreen. Okay, so it should start rolling, hopefully. If not, you can look at this picture. I assured Dan I wouldn't mess it up, and I think I did. Anyhow, I mentioned we periodically highlight businesses. This evening, we're highlighting a really important restaurant in our city, been here for over 20 years, and it's Pancho Villa's Authentic Mexican Cuisine. I know the video running is probably making your mouth water, but it has been here for actually 25 years, and it has been known as the home of the flaming fajita. Customers are continually amazed by the sizzling and mouth-watering experience of the flaming fajita and other many signature dishes. Pancho Villas has exciting plans. We're going to hear from the owner shortly to expand their operation. But I wanted to highlight what others are saying about Pancho Villas, not just in Sterling Heights, but from around the state and actually the country. And this is Karen in Auburn Hills that says, this place won't disappoint. Family loves coming here. Best Mexican restaurant around. Delicious, hot, authentic Mexican food and friendly service. Large menu, best of all, reasonably priced. Favorites are the flaming fajita, the fried corn taco. The restaurant decor is so nice, as you can see in the video, and it feels like Mexico all around. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Robert from Troy says.
Don't forget tomorrow, though.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Robert from Troy says, Pancho's is our go-to Mexican restaurant. It's always hot, great, and the service is always great. We've been going there for the last 12 years. And this is from Terry all the way from San Francisco, who says, I went there last night and Steve made me more than welcome. Excellent food, well prepared, so good that I took it home and had it for breakfast this morning. So those are just some of the reviews, but if you haven't been there, you gotta go. And now about the owner. Arif Steve Naji is a native New Yorker of Yemeni descent, having earned his Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering in 1998 and a Bachelor of Arts in Near Eastern and Asian Studies in 1999 from Wayne State University. Steve planted roots in Michigan in 1982 and is an entrepreneur, formerly owning numerous businesses in the Detroit metropolitan area, not the least of which includes Pancho Villas. Mr. Naji is Program Director of Steps to Change that provides youth mentorship and job placement for formerly incarcerated. Mr. Naji, who is formerly incarcerated himself in the Federal Bureau of Prisons for 15 years, has volunteered and mentored in many different programs and facilitated classes for reentry. Having paid his debt to society, Mr. Naji is not shy about sharing his unique experience under the premise of lessons learned. Mr. Naji would like to take a couple minutes tonight to not only talk about the treasure that he helped create right here in Sterling Heights and how he hopes to expand it, but he also wants to talk about the really important work that he's doing with Steps to Change. And after he speaks, I'd like to highlight another really important member in our audience, but I'll save that for a little later. So I'm pleased to introduce Steve Naji.
Good evening, City Council members. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool, for the introduction. Let me correct you, it's 26 years. When we opened up Pancho Villas, we set up the corporation in 97, and in 98 we opened our doors. Me and Doug Abundis, who was the son of Juan's Hacienda on DeQuinder, I think it was Chicago Road in DeQuinder. He came over with me and said, let's open up Pancho's. We opened up Pancho's, and it was just one side, little place. We expanded it, and we separated ways. Then I had to come in and learn the recipes. I'm not Mexican. I had to learn everything, and we perfected it. And later on, I was in a motorcycle club and got indicted, 91-man indictment, and RICO. And my daughter, which I want to highlight, Amani, she took over at 17 years old. She kept the place open, and it amazes me now because I work with the youth in high schools, and I'm talking to the same 17-year-olds. And I asked her, how did she do it? How was she able to take care of that. Her answer was, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I was like, I don't think I was that smart at 17 myself, because I was making stupid decisions. And even later on, I made stupid decisions. And I asked her, this bothered me, because when I saw what she was doing with the restaurant, with help, honestly, from the Sterling Heights Police Department, who always checked up on her, and it was an ongoing joke between me and her. You know, the police officers come in and say, are we allowed to eat here now that you're in federal prison? So it was just a funny thing. She would always say that to me. And anyway, she told me, her answer to me, which really, I didn't even have tears come on my eyes when I got a 37-year sentence. What really touched me is she said, you can never pay me back my youth. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do that now. And she doesn't want to have anything to do with Ponchos, but she's still there. She's behind the scenes. She does all the book work. She owns the restaurant. It's really her restaurant. Everything's in her name. So I said, I'm going to take this to the next level. I'm going to bring it back, because she didn't want to open it back up for dining. She said she just wanted to do carry-out. She didn't want to deal with staffing issues, because the business now in Sterling Heights has a lot of staffing issues, keeping wait staff, keeping dishwashers. I got to do it all. And my big thing is, I'd rather hire somebody to do those things, because I want to give customer service. I like to check on my customers. I like talking to them, because I go out to eat, and I don't get that no more. You don't even get a manager or someone to come and talk to you anymore. And I just like to know the experience and talk to people. And I ask people, where do they come from? There's hardly any from Sterling Heights anymore. Everybody that moved out of Sterling Heights are coming back to the city to come and eat at Ponchos. And I like that they do that, From Romeo, we even moved out to 21. I wish you would have stayed in Sterling, because it's closer to everything. And we got people from down there, and I tell them, if you want me to bring the food home for you, call up before we close, and I'll deliver on the way, because the loyalty they have with us. Because I'd like to look at our customers as family. And I'm going to try to stay there. I haven't redone the signage, because we haven't determined to stay, because of the area I'm in now is majority Middle Eastern, and everybody's moved out of the city that eats Mexican. And I understand that everybody eats the food that they know, and they don't want to try and explore something different unless it's a young crowd. We get from the Middle East, and, when they say, oh, he's Middle Eastern, what does he know about Mexican food? They give me a chance. That's all I'm saying. If you don't like it, you don't have to pay for it. I know they can't refuse that. But I never have a problem with anybody complaining unless it's minor stuff or staffing. You got new people working with customers, and they don't know how to do it. And I just like to be out there talking to everyone. And let me highlight the other thing, what Mark was talking about, Mr. Vanderpool. Steps of change. I've only been out. This is 33 months since I've been out of federal prison. I had the 37-year sentence reduced to 20, because there's no way to go under the mandatory minimum of 20 years. And then when COVID came, I became a caregiver. We requested a compassionate release to be a caregiver for my mother, and I got the last 5 off. And I've been working so far with my youth nonprofit to help the youth in the high schools, and we're also involved with a reentry mentoring group that's on Zoom out of Minnesota, and they're involved with the federal courts. We have judges that come on there. We have chief prosecutor that came from the criminal division. And also we have public defenders that come on there from Minnesota, and we're trying to implement that in our federal court. And we've been working with the chief judge, and we're going to let them communicate, because who am I for them to listen to? Let them hear from their peers. But steps of change is all. I already went to Melvindale High. We got the pilot program there. I visited Hazel Park, Advantage Alternative, and also Persian. I went to a middle school in Dearborn. And I've been talking to them at Grissom because, you know, it's a great thing when you got the Grissom kids, they bring their A students, they walk down there, they bring them down to the restaurant. Every year, they bring their A students in for lunch. It's like a little field trip for them. And when these kids grow up, I remember I came to Pancho's when I was in Grissom, and I still talk to them. I let them know at the school, because they came a few months ago. End of May, it wasn't a few months ago. They came in, they walked over there, and all the kids, we took pictures with them. And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy the youth, and I feel, me giving back, I do it out of my own pocket. I got a nonprofit. I don't take anything from anyone right now because I haven't set it up properly with a bank account or a website, so I'm not taking anyone's money. But I'm doing everything out of my pocket with as far as that and reentry. So if anyone in the city has any issues with any kids, they could just come talk to me at Pancho's. We'll set up a time. I'll do one-on-one with them. They want to keep it discreet. Even substance abuse, we could work with them on that. I worked for FAN before, and I'm a peer recovery coach. And also the reentry part. We like to keep returning citizens home. Find them jobs. And I see why they recidivate. I had a home to come to. And I still struggle mentally, with, not what I'm used to. The world changed. 15 years, I didn't have a cell phone like this. Everything's computers. These kids know what they're doing with these. I'm still learning. And so I'm there. I'm there at Pancho's for anyone. Just come in. The best time to come when it's the downtime, 2 to 4. If they want to talk about issues like that, with their kids or anything, we talk one-on-one. I'll be glad to help. Or any schools, if there's any resources that the city could provide for business or even for the youth program where I could give my services. That's all I have.
And Mayor, I mentioned earlier that there was another person in the audience that we wanted to recognize tonight, and Mr. Najee alluded to it, but while he was incarcerated, we did have a number of individuals, namely from the police department, who wanted to help out the daughter who had really lost her youth and had to struggle to figure it all out. She was only 17 years old. And so we had some advisors from our police department who would stop by and try to make sure they were providing some advice and try to talk her off the edge, if you will, and make sure that she knew that she was cared for, and they were thinking of her, and she could call on them if she ever needed anything, and so on. And Mark Schmidt, who was a command officer at the time, is with us in the audience tonight. And when I talked to Mark last week, and I said, you're an important part of this story, because the daughter had highlighted how important Mark was in her life at that time, helping her get through a very, very difficult situation. And Mark said to me, I don't really even know what I did, other than stop in and talk with her and just have someone to listen to her woes, and it was cathartic for her and therapeutic and so on. But he didn't realize the impact that he had on this young person's life at the time. But it was a never-ending impact, an everlasting impact on this young lady's life. But for his effort, things could have ended differently for her. She might not have stayed with it. And all the while she did, and this institution is still open in our great city, in part because of advocates and supporters like Mr. Schmidt. So I wanted to single him out. It's a true testament of the employees that we have working for the city who go above and beyond. It's more than just a job for them. It's a commitment to the city. It's helping out wherever they can. And in this case, it's the epitome of community-oriented policing. And it's an interesting part of this story. So I know Mark didn't want me to single him out. He didn't want to come tonight, but it's a must, and Mark Schmidt is with us this evening.
morning, everyone. Like Mr. Vanderpool said, I was there from the beginning when the restaurant first opened. I love Mexican food, and I will say their food is awesome, okay? And so I knew Steve before his troubles began, and then the whole court proceedings, and then he was gone. And I would just stop in for dinner, and his daughter was 17, 18, running this restaurant, and she would just sit down and we would talk. And like Mr. Vanderpool said, he called me last week, and he brought this story to me, and I didn't think, big deal. I went there and I had dinner, and she'd sit and talk with me. But he explained it, and I guess I started realizing it, and obviously she relayed this to her dad, the impact that I had. And yeah, I talked her off the cliff a few times. She was over her head running this restaurant. She'd complain about, the employees, staffing, money, and I would give my advice when I could, my suggestions. We talked about a lot of life things, about her going back to school at Macomb Community College. She was attending school. She wanted to drop out because she had to run the restaurant. Of course, I encouraged her to stay in, and she stayed in for a few semesters. Of course, she had to leave school to run this restaurant because she was helping provide for her mother and her younger brother. So, again, it's nice because here it is several years later to realize that I had an impact on this young person that, for 15 years, I went there every night because I worked the afternoon shift, and I'd have dinner, and she would sit and we would just talk. So it's nice to be recognized, and I'm glad that I did have an impact on her. So the other thing, like I said, I've already touched on, the food is excellent there. If you haven't tried it, you guys need to try it. So it's just nice to be recognized, and again, I just thought I was just spending some time with a young person, and I guess I had a bigger impact than I thought. So thank you, Mr. Vanderpool.
And for those of you who haven't been to Pancho Villa's, please stop by and visit them for the great food. And Mayor, I have one more report, one more item on my report, and I should not have ended with this because it's traffic calming's important, but I don't know if it's as important as Mexican food. But you've heard from Leah Michaels before. She is with HRC, and she is a project leader for citywide traffic calming, and she wants to talk a little bit tonight about some of the engagement that's ongoing with the community and how residents and businesses can interact in this very important study.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. As Mr. Vanderpool said, I'm Leah Michaels with HRC. I just wanted to come to give an update on where we stand with our study. Really, our public engagement portion of it is underway. So I just wanted to share the website with everyone here. So we have a website for the project, and this is part of our comprehensive transportation safety action plan. And this is one of the ways that we're gathering feedback from the public and residents and others that use the city. So if you scroll on the website, we have information about what the plan is, why we're doing it, because there's many fatalities on roads throughout the state of Michigan. And an area where people can submit on surveys and submit their concerns as it relates to safety throughout the city. So the first item is we have a general safety survey on the website that we want to encourage everyone to take. We just ask questions about what mode of transportation people use, how safe they feel the roads are within the city, and notes on various issues that they find. We have a second survey on here that's related to Ryan Road. As we look for how we can revision what Ryan Road looks like, we want feedback from those that use it, live nearby, and others to see, get their input on what Ryan Road should look like. So we have questions about how people travel along Ryan Road, what their relationship is to them, what safety concerns and transportation concerns they see about the corridor, and ask to rate various issues. And then the third item on the website is we have a safety mapper tool. When you click on that link, it shows you how to report on this website. But all of the roads within the city of Sterling Heights are highlighted. And you can zoom into a specific area. So if we look at, say, 18.5 Mile in Van Dyke, People can submit observations right on the map in the area where they have safety concerns. So you can select an area, pick a category of what your observation is related to, whether it be speeding, cut-through traffic, intersection-related, pedestrian-related. There's a variety of options to choose from. Then residents can put their comments in. There's an optional name and phone number and email, and then a spot that people can also upload photos and report on it. And then all the comments are also available for others to look at. So you can select on other comments that others have posted, and you could like it if you'd like, and read about some of the concerns that others have noted throughout the city. So I just wanted to take a minute to explain the website, show what we have up there. This website is going to be open until the end of August, so we're soliciting feedback on all safety items throughout the city. So we do want to encourage everyone to promote this and to visit the website and take the survey and post some comments on the map. So in addition to the website, we've been meeting with some of the city's councils. We've met with the African American Coalition, the Ethnic Committee, the Youth Advisory Board, and we have a couple others that we'll be doing to kind of get some specific feedback from some of the local groups within the city and also help to get the word out through those advocates. We're also looking to attend the Dodge Park Thursdays. We have a flyer, which I brought some copies here for anyone in the audience if they want to grab one and see a link to the website on it. So that's all I have. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
And Mayor, just, again, this is on our website. You can go to our main page. There's the hot link. It's very easy to access. And we welcome additional feedback from residents and businesses. And thank you very much. And that concludes my report this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Council, any questions for Ms. Michaels before she's?
I have a question.
Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, looking at the transportation, I'm very excited for this tool. Does it mark all of the sidewalks that we have in Sterling Heights on the tool, or is it only roadways?
You can put a comment by the sidewalk,
Right.
but it's kind of limited to near the roadways. We didn't want people necessarily commenting on homes or things related to homes. So
Right.
you can pick kind of the closest location to the sidewalk and make comments related to that.
Well, and that's my concern. I want to make sure that if we're doing a study, we're going to make sure it's multimodal. There's a lot of places, and I'm frequently called by residents who are concerned about areas in the city that have sidewalk gaps or are not safe to travel. I see you have all the intersections marked, but if you don't have the sidewalks on your map, and they're not something that people are commenting on, then you're directing everyone to improving traffic flow and not actually improving pedestrian safety. That's I guess my concern. I want to make sure that we hear that out, because I know that I was just called by a mother who's concerned about there's no sidewalks on Utica Road, so when she goes to the nature center, she actually has to like jaywalk across Utica Road, and there's no sidewalks for any of her children to walk on Utica Road. But if that's not on the map that you just showed us, then people are just going to comment about how traffic backs up here or there, and that's not going to actually improve safety in our city.
We can look at expanding that border, but one of the selected observations is pedestrians.
Right.
So we do have those cues in there, so we do welcome that feedback on.
You know, and I would go one step further too, and I would say I'm comfortable with people, there are neighborhood roads, neighborhood streets that are very unsafe. Brome, Canterbury, other ones that for whatever reason are speedways or don't have sidewalk that aren't safe. I'm fine with residents posting about them there because I get those calls, and I want to make sure that they're part of our survey so we can make sure that we are making comprehensive safety changes that benefit all of our residents.
Thank you.
All I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else? If not, thank you, Ms. Michaels and Mr. Najee and Mr. Schmidt talking out in the hall. Thank you for your stories and inspirational, and really inspirational stories and what you've done to improve the lives of others and to provide some very good Mexican food here in the city of Sterling Heights. So thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool. With that, we will move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is an ordinance adoption. This is to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 23 of the City Code entitled Garbage and Refuse to implement recycling requirements for multiple family dwellings. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item?
Are you guys going to have somebody check these cans out before they go out or anything like that? You got to, like the code enforcer guy, they're going to check on this for you? I think it's crazy myself.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
resolved to introduce the ordinance amending Chapter 20.
Let me stop you. Yeah, it's a typo.
Sorry, thank you. I knew I was wrong. Resolved to adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 23 of the City Code titled Garbage and Refuse to implement recycling requirements for multiple family dwellings. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor. After the presentation last week, I'm comfortable with the timeline. I would just ask that DPW and the city attorney's office work faster to try to hopefully get residents who I know want recycling at their multifamily homes. So I think this is a good ordinance. It's not perfect, but it's something that residents are asking for, and I'm glad to adopt it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on any item on tonight's consent agenda?
Which one is it? Let me see. Oh, the fire hydrants. Years ago, the kids used to do that, the college kids and that, painting it. So you're farming that all out again? $100,000, that's some good money. And there was something else. Oh, the tractor, the zero turnaround. You got that farmed out too, because I see him cut the island across the street from me. Why do we need one? But let's see, what else? Oh, your meeting, what's the meeting gonna be about with the planning commission? Can you guys answer that now, or we gotta wait? We gotta wait. Okay, and then what happened with Elizabeth here with the police department? We gotta wait on that too.
So all that information is in the backup.
I don't have the
Posted
backup.
online.
I don't have the computer. I don't do that. I like to have it verbal. Explain it a lot easier. I understand it. And one thing too, you should get these microphones fixed. It's really hard to hear back there. But on TV, I really can pick it up, whatever you guys say. I like it. Be back.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else on the consent agenda? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to communications from citizens. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on any item not on tonight's agenda?
Okay. I don't know what's going on here, but you guys are spending money like it's going on to crazy. This priority, they took over every county in the area. And these trash cans, the damn things are all the same. For two weeks, I had a GFL. The driver gave me a sticker. I put the sticker on. It's a yellow one. They picked it up for 2 weeks. Today's my trash pickup. They didn't pick it up. They pick up the bundles. So I called Waste Management. It's all your fault. The city ordinance. You won't change it. What are we wasting these cans for? This thing's a beautiful thing. It's just same as the other ones that we use. I don't know what's going on. And then millage, oh, all right, taxes, that's another thing that just came in. That baby went up a little. But that admission fee, I gotta pay $25 to get that bill mailed to me. Take that off. Come on, we don't need it. And everybody in the city is poor. Food is outrageous. And this bulk, you gotta change it. It's not right. Because they picked up the yard waste, they pick up on bundles. Hey, I'm getting too old to wrap this stuff up. You took away my wood chipper. I could call up in the city and a week later, man, boom, bam, bam, bam. And the guys would say, hey, bring big ones. Bring the whole damn tree, because they could sit and relax and have a cigarette while the machine's eating it. Now it's costing me money. I'm on a fixed income. And that thing next to me, Disneyland I call it, the Islams, they come out and worked. They did work this time. Poor guy was out there with a weed eater for almost 2 days, cut everything down. But the neighbor in the back, you got the fake fence, and you got another fence. They didn't clean through there. I don't know what's going on. And then I went over there yesterday, and they're putting a new fence in. So when you come off of 15 into the driveway, the gate was there. Now, they're gonna get rid of that gate, and you can drive in farther, and there'll be another gate. They're doing more fence work. I don't know what's happening. Come on, get this thing built so we can see what's going on. And then another thing, when they first started, they said there was only 100 people. Well, now, in the paper, when they had the meeting, there was 200 people in the book. Well, I got to talk to one of the guys, the owners, the ones that's the religious or whatever it is. He said, oh, no, we got more members. So where's these fools gonna park? It's outrageous. That's what we turned it down for, but you guys blew it with this text shit. Instead of going to walk to the guy's office and talk to him, no. And the federal government moved in, and what it cost us, $350,000? And you bought that O-ring over on Hall Road for some reason. I don't know what's happening. Now you got this new park you want to build. Come on. We need the roads fixed. 15-mile road from Mountain to Van Dyke is outrageous. I don't know when you plan on doing that. But you got to get it done. It's crazy. But I don't know what you guys are doing. Electric police car? And another thing, years ago, you told us that DPW building was unfit. It had cracks and all that in it. We got to build a new building. But what about the old one? You remodeled it instead of tearing it down. So what's the difference here? Something, I don't know. But this, you got to change this. You got to start using these old cans. People are giving them away or something. It was in the paper. And I got a sticker. And an improper can.
All right, sir, thank you.
Oh, yeah, the red light. Oh, I'm going to jail.
Not going to jail, nobody's going to jail, but we would ask, please, in the future, refrain from coarse language, if you could. Thank you. Come on up, sir.
I didn't get the address of that Mexican place.
If you get a computer, you can just Google it.
Oh, the computer again.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Jason Verlin. I was here last month in that regarding ordinance violation. Same gentleman, Mr. Schmidt, who just came by my house today, thought it was pretty funny in that. He took this right here and he stuck it on my no trespassing sign. May I please approach Mr. Vanderpool and hand this to you since you're his boss?
You can give it to the clerk, she'll hand it to us.
You can have that. That's highly inappropriate. Now, the Sterling Heights police officers are here in the courtroom in that, per MCL section. I apologize, let me find that again real quick. 750.552. You're supposed to notify somebody one time for trespassing on property. Please notify Mr. Mark Schmidt. You gave him his one-time warning for trespassing on my property. Do not do it again, or I will press charges. He did put that in accordance to right of ordinance. Once again, I will be back in there saying this, 462-3, 3-1818, 11-125, right of entry, only for emergency or health or safety conditions. He has no right trespassing on my property. He violated your ordinance again. Again, he violated my Fourth Amendment right, trespassing on my property and inspecting my vehicle, illegal search and seizure, Fourth Amendment right violation. He violated my Fourth Amendment right one more time. This is the second time he did it. So I talked to him right there, Michael, the council member. I ran into him at the Coney Island and that. He said, don't worry about it. If you want to sue us and that, we have plenty of money and we have plenty of attorneys here at the city. And that's what you told me that day when I ran into you at the Sterling Heights Coney Island at 15 in Dodge Park. That's a wonderful comment to make to me, instead of addressing the issue. You should have just said, hey, listen, I came in here with an olive branch trying to resolve this issue with you diplomatically. And here you guys again, trying to bully me into your mindset. Stop doing that. Nathan Patrick, at least he called me in that, the city attorney, on June 10th at 16:17. I did return his call. He did not return my call. And again, Mr. Schmidt, who was just in here, who you applauded on March of 2012, he was part of the sergeants over at the police department that was suspended in that for stealing time from the police department. So you're keeping around people that are sponging money off the city, stealing from the city, violating city ordinances, violating people's Fourth Amendment rights, violating Michigan law. How are you guys going to handle that? And that's my question for you today. How are you going to handle this? How are you going to resolve this? And I will see you July 8th for my ordinance violation day at 7 o'clock. Other than that, that's it. You guys have a wonderful 4th of July.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And hey, again in that, I hold out another olive branch. Don't turn around and snap it in half and smack me with it. Make me regret it. I came in here as a mature adult, and all I want to do is talk to everybody like a mature adult. And all I expect is a response like a mature adult. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else under communications from citizens? Come on up.
We're gonna do rock, paper, scissors, and see who wanted to go next. Jim Bauer, Wilsett Corp. I thought I'd come in 2 weeks before we talk about the CCF PUD on the 16th. There's just a couple things. I'm one of those old people that remember the Utica Amusement Park back in the day. Still have nice memories of it when we drive by the site. And I read on social media that a lot of people are upset. But just a couple things. I noticed, I went back and watched the video from the 10/17/22 meeting where you approved the funds to buy the park. And there's a quote in there in the minutes that says, Councilman Radke understands that they are going to spend the ARPA funds on the purchase of land so they can make a public park as part of their master plan. And then there's a bunch of other things. And then he said about how there have been plenty of meetings on it, and so people should know what's going on. And then at the end, he said he expressed opposition to Mr. Smith's earlier comments and emphasized that he is proud to vote in favor of this park, which he felt will be a jewel on the river. So, of course, now the city put out a RFP, request for proposal, and the CCF came by with apartments. And so, based on the meeting and the comments, it seems like we were expecting to put a park there, okay? So I guess if you put a 4.5-story building there in front of the, what would be a park, it's no longer a jewel, but more of hidden treasure. That's a Paul Smithism, sorry. So then I would like to see a park. I think that would be a great addition to the city. I mean, Utica did a nice job on their Heritage Park across the street. And I think that'd be more welcoming than running into a, 4.5-story building when you first come in. Then also, you put in for a millage to buy property, vacant property, property with trees to try to preserve the tree canopy, okay? And so now you're giving away or selling the property that has this already. You have 10 acres, you're gonna lose 31% of the trees. You're gonna have to dig a bathtub in the back, almost 3 acres behind the building for the cut and fill. And this seems like a kind of a waste of time myself. But when I look back upon all the PUDs that, have been before you, that you've passed, that you've given up for recreation space, which would mostly be green space typically, possibly landscape with trees and stuff like that. According to my calculations, for those three, you've given up, 348 units times 500 square feet per unit is 174,000 required recreational space. Provided was 59,734 square feet. And so that leaves a deficit through your modifications of 114, 266 square feet, which is approximately 2.62 acres that you've given up, instead of making them follow the ordinance. And then, of course, there's the part where they'll require land area of an average of 350 square feet, average for 1 and 2 bedroom, if you consider it 50-50. That requires 34.75 acres of land if they built those on the appropriate per the ordinance. They've actually been built on 11.37 acres, which means that there's a deficit of 23.39 acres that could have been green space if they had the property to accommodate that per the ordinance. So, and I know it's in your Vision 2040 plan, it talks about neighborhoods, plentiful and diverse housing and green spaces available for existing and new residents. So the point I'm coming up here is that I'd really like you to consider not approving their application for PUD.
Okay.
And keeping that as green space.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else under, yes, ma'am?
Hi.
Hello?
I would say it's a pleasure to be here, but it is not. I'd like to first ask if you all feel like Sterling Heights is a diverse community, if you can answer that, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I don't recognize you, and so I say that because we do have certain rules that we abide by during the meeting, especially at this portion. We don't do it back and forth
Okay,
like
fair
a question and answer here. So you'll have an opportunity to talk. You get 4 minutes. It'll be green for 3 minutes, yellow for 1 minute, and then when it turns red, I just ask you to try
Okay,
to.
I'll answer it myself. I like
Okay.
to think that Sterling Heights is a diverse community, especially based upon my neighbors, but yet I don't see a reflection of me on this panel. I say that to say because I came in here last year because I had a board ordinance allegedly, even though I was given violations but no tickets. The board meeting was not favorable for me, even though I only asked them for 7 days to lay sod. Nevertheless, I laid the sod. You guys then associated some type of fee for the board. I spoke with Dana multiple times, asking her what it was about, because it was improper. Based on your ordinance, it states that you get a violation. In the event you don't cure it, then you get a ticket. In the event you don't cure the ticket or it's not done, then you go to the board. None of that happened to me. I've tried to follow the protocol. I'm all for trying to resolve things at the lowest possible level. However, I've been unable to do that. I'm not certain if you guys know who Jennifer Varney is, but the things that she said to me was so discriminatory, it makes absolutely no sense. I'm letting you guys on notice that I did file a complaint, a civil rights complaint with the state of Michigan today based on the conversation that I had with her. My only concern here is that I should have been ticketed and I should not have been signed an abatement fee. You guys have now created a summer tax liability. My taxes are paid, but you now have created a summer tax liability for something that's improper. All I'm trying to do is get this resolved. It seems like you want me to foam at the mouth, use irreverent words to God, be the stereotypical norm, the black, belligerent, combative woman in order to get something moved. Like, I've made 3 formal complaints with the city department. Not one has been answered, but yet you move over this abatement to a tax liability now. I am extremely frustrated. That's why I didn't stand. Not because I don't believe in freedom and democracy all over the world, not because I'm not a patriot, but how do I support something that's not supportive towards me? And I look at you, I hear you guys speak. Everybody here is intelligent. I'm not met with that when I talk in private conversations, which is why I recorded the lady today, because I wanted to be clear how racist some of you guys are. I'm gonna tell you up front, I respect an overt racist over a covert one any day, because at least I know how to deal with you. I came here today because I would like the abatement removed from the tax lien that you guys, or tax liability that you guys have assigned to me, and I would like a ticket to be issued if you guys feel like I should have to pay a fee, as that should be what should have been given to me. I've made these, like I said, I've talked to Dana multiple times. I'm never combative. I'm always just trying to figure out why this happened, why that happened. I'm only here today to express this on the record in the need for you guys to not say, oh, we weren't informed. You're informed now that this has been happening to me over a year. I've actually cured the problem, and you guys are still trying to feed me for something that's completely not even in line with your ordinance. I don't know how you guys enforce things on one end, right? But then on the other, you completely ignore it. I don't respect any system that doesn't follow their own rules. I don't know who I'm speaking to today, but I would ask that somebody look into it. My name is Burks Keisha. My property address is 12311 Joe Point Drive. I asked them for 7 days. They wouldn't even give me 7 days. I had to lay side in 7 days. Do you have any imagine how much money that cost me? And now you want me to pay an abatement fee when I was never even issued a ticket? I'm tired. I am. I respect each and every one of you. I do think I would like to see somebody of a different color up there because, in my personal opinion, you don't know what it's like to be a black woman. You don't know what it's like to be a black man. You don't know what it's like to be a person of color. They call this place Sterling Whites. I now understand why.
All right, ma'am, I appreciate your comments. If you don't, Miss, if you would like, I didn't get your name and address. If you don't mind writing it down, I think some of us did. But if you want us to look into it, you want me to look into it, and any other council members, if you could share your name and address, and then we'll have code enforcement run a report to show us what's been going on there, and then somebody from the city will reach out to you, okay? Thank you, ma'am. All right, anybody else under communications from citizens? Yes, sir?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Douglas Molzon. I live at 43305 Utica Road. I am a 25-year resident of this city, and I'm here today because of my garbage. Since Priority's taken over the contract, my garbage and yard waste has not been picked up only twice on schedule. We've had to call every single week. I've called to talk to the city. I've called to talk to Priority. Today I called Priority because my garbage pickup is on Friday and it still hadn't been picked up. I was on hold for 1 hour. I was number 5 on their list when I called. I was number 1 next person, and for another 20 minutes waited patiently and never got through. I've talked to the city, to the DPW, and I'll tell you what, those people are wonderful. The people you have answering the phones there are very, very good people. I'm getting 2 conflicting answers every time I call. The city tells me one thing, Priority tells me something different. Priority says it was the city's decision to use the type of cans that we're required to use. And I believe it was because we wanted uniformity in the city. That's why we got rid of our trash containers. Okay, so I have a trash container, a cart on wheels that can be picked up by the truck. Came up to the city, got stickers, put it on the can. It still wasn't getting picked up. When I called Priority, they said, oh, that's the city. I called the city, they're like, well, we don't understand why they're not picking it up. Oh, wait, you have to have a Priority yard waste can. You can't have your own because you're not part of the uniformity that the city wants. My can is dark green, it has a lid, it has stickers on it. Today, when I talked to the city, they told me that can was fine to use. I don't know what to do anymore. I would like to conform with what you guys would come up with, but it don't really seem that you know what you want. That's all I have. Oh, wait, I'm still green. The thing about this yard waste too, and when we talk to DPW, and I'm not gonna give you names, we take names and times and everything when we call, and I'm not gonna tell you the guy's name because that ain't probably what I should do, but I was told, well, why don't you just compost? Why don't you do this, do that? The thing is, I live in almost a 1 acre yard. I'm not in a condo. I'm not in a new subdivision. I have large trees. I have pine trees. Pine trees you can't compost. I have a neighbor that has a black walnut tree. Leaves are toxic to use in compost. So there's certain things, this is not a cookie cutter type of thing that you guys try to roll out. You try to make us all under the same rules and plans, but not everybody's situation is the same. And I don't think any of you took that in consideration. I'm sure most of you have yard service. You don't worry about these things. I live on a fixed income. I'm willing to pay for another can. We called. My understanding is the city's going to pay part of the cost of the can. At the same time, Priority's saying, well, we're going to charge you because you're using a credit card.
So, sir, I thank you for your comments.
Thank you. I know I'm out of time.
If you don't mind, just like the prior lady, if you don't mind writing down your name, address, phone number, email address. I think Mr. Vanderpool and I spoke about this issue just a couple days ago, but we'll reach out and we'll find out why Priority isn't picking it up. I think it's
I know
because
I'm out of time, but I'm not the only, I'm not only speaking for myself. There's 4 houses on Utica
know.
Road,
We're
and
aware
none
of
of them are getting picked up.
We are aware. We've been talking with Priority. We'll get this solved. I promise you that. And we'll figure out what the issue is with your trash can. If you just leave your contact
Is
information.
there, when you did this contract with them, is there anything that says that, hey, if they don't do due diligence or whatever, however you want to put it,
Yeah,
is there
we'll-
any
we'll
penalty
talk
to
to you.
them?
We'll talk
Is
to you
there any
about that offline.
repercussions to them?
We'll address that, sir. We'll address that after this portion.
Again, I thank you for your time, and I'm sorry I went over.
It's okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else under communications from citizens? If not, I'll close that portion. Mr. Vanderpool, can you address anything that was just brought up by this resident on Utica Road?
Mayor, as you said, we'll look into it in a little more detail. There's cameras on all the trucks, so we can determine, exactly what was set out at what time and verify if it was missed. So we'll check into that. We'll check the other locations mentioned as well on Utica. There's 40,000 stops, and if you consider yard waste, regular refuse, and recycling, it's about 120,000 stops per week. We've had very, very few complaints. Overall, the service is going smoothly. There are some exceptions. We've had to follow up with some residents, including the resident tonight and others, but the vast majority of residents are being serviced well with minimal complaints. But I'll report back to the resident and city council on this particular issue. And for the public who's interested, including the resident that spoke earlier about how to properly prepare your branches and other things that you may set out that are not going to be set out for chip, we still have chipping service. We have a comprehensive Q&A on our website. So simply go to our website. It's very easy to read, and you can get all your questions addressed through our Q&A, but I'm happy to talk to residents about the service as well. Also, I did want to comment, residents spoke about North Van Dyke and a forthcoming development there. That will be considered by the city council soon. I wanted to mention that the master plan that was developed is just that. It's a master plan. Like Lakeside, there will be some deviations like any master plan. Typically, they're insignificant compared to the overall plan, but a master plan's a guide. We try to implement them the best we can. In this particular case, the vast majority of the property, almost 7 acres, will be preserved for open space and park space and a river walk that will connect the Van Dyke to Riverland along the Clinton River with other park amenities along that stretch, connecting to a lineal park from Riverland over to Van Dyke. So the plan is being implemented. This particular development will be on the frontage of the road, so approximately 2 acres. So the park space all along there pursuant to the master plan is being implemented as envisioned in the master plan with a few exceptions. But we're pleased with the overall progress of North Van Dyke. You're going to be hearing much more about that We have numerous other prospects on the other side of the road further down by the Pocket Park. So a lot of activity going on in North Van Dyke. And the most important thing with these redevelopment areas is the whole idea is long-term, create more robust, vibrant areas. Doing nothing in these areas and letting them continue to decline is not an answer. When the Riverland Amusement Park was there, generated property taxes. It declined, it eventually closed, and the property taxes and property value declined. Obviously, that area declined. This plan is invigorating new life into the area. In order to do that, it does take some creative thinking, some creative economic development initiatives. Most importantly, it takes density. We have to get people living in these areas to frequent the businesses that are currently there and potentially future businesses as well. So these are exciting redevelopment areas, North Van Dyke, Lakeside, the corridor down Van Dyke, and I think the master plans that we've been hard at work developing over the last few years are starting to pay dividends. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Mr. Koszybski,
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
council, any reports or new business? Entertain a motion to
Mr. Mayor?
adjourn. Mr. Radke,
Just briefly,
making the motion to adjourn?
no, not quite.
Okay.
Just briefly, after we've now passed the, the new ordinance for recycling at multifamily, I was hoping without objection, we could get a report from our city attorney and city administration about the possibility of further amending our multifamily ordinances to require dumpsters to be enclosed on these properties. You know, since I've been elected, it's been over 7 years, and I've visited many multifamily properties. I live in one, and some of them have had repeated instances of rodents and trash laying outside. I don't want to stick any couple out, but there's a couple that are adjacent to Van Dyke and 15 Mile that I'm sure we're all aware of that have been frequent offenders. And if an enclosure is just one way to make the community look better, but if we could write an ordinance that would allow that, I think it would be a boon to these areas and help confine their garbage better and make the community look better. So without objection, I'd hope for a report to see if we can make that change.
Well, I'm curious, can you describe what you mean by fully enclosed?
So right now, if, for new developments, you have to have a dumpster enclosure. Your dumpster has to be inside of an enclosure. Older developments have dumpsters just lying on the ground or in the parking lot or in certain areas. Now, this is not going to work at every development. There is not going to be room in some developments, but in some developments there is room, and they just weren't required to enclose their dumpsters, so they just sit out in the middle of everywhere with trash around them in the community.
Anybody have any objection? Ms. Zarko?
I'd say the objection, I have a question, is would all of these places that have had the unenclosed dumpster areas be grandfathered in? So that you wouldn't be able to change those because there wasn't an ordinance at that time. So I guess that would be my question, is what could we do? Or maybe can't do anything. So you'd still have the same problem.
Yeah, I mean, that would defeat not to speak for Mr. Radke, but if they're all grandfathered in, then that's the way it is.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
That would be the,
Mr. Koszybski, do you have anything you want to weigh in on here?
It sounds to me what council might be looking for is a report on whether we can do that. And then if so, what we would suggest as an ordinance.
correct.
Okay, any issue with that?
No.
Okay.
Well, just
Mr. Radke?
to answer, I agree. And I guess my thing would be, for communities that we've cited for trash outside, for rodents, for issues, I think that would give us a cause to then enclose the dumpsters. I made the same argument about recycling. How can we enforce a recycling on pre-existing facilities? But I was told because it's been brought here now, we can do it. I don't understand how we can't make them improve how trash is taken out if they're grandfathered in. And the other end is that it's a shame that they're grandfathered in and that people don't want to make our community look better, that there are literally whole multifamily communities in this city where they just put the trash outside. I remember several years ago I got a call because there are certain facilities in our city that are even required to use dumpsters. They just have a big X on the ground where they dump their trash prior to the new contract. And You'd go out there on a Thursday for Friday pickup and you'd see 50, 60 bags of trash just lying on the ground with rodents all over them running around. And at the time, I asked, what can we do? And the idea that this is grandfathered in, so we just have to accept it, I think that's unacceptable. So that's where I stand with this. Hopefully, that we can do something about this. And one more thing, listening to Mr. Bauer, who I frequently discuss things with, we don't see eye to eye on very much, but I appreciate his passion. I attended the last Planning Commission special meeting, and the vice chair who was chairing the meeting talked about a thing called anchoring bias. This idea that when you have a number in your ordinance, even if you're going to change it, people tend to revolve around that number as the anchoring point on which they essentially think projects have to do. We've made significant changes to our zoning ordinance through amendment. We never really, this is why we're doing the new master plan and new zoning plan, we never really updated it. So one thing that I hope we're really doing, and I see it, is we need to change the anchors in the plan, because if we're not gonna require 500 square feet of green space per apartment, and we don't, we should just strike that from the ordinance and make a new number. That is the correct number. If there's no number, there's no number. But, it reminded me of the RV parking thing. I was elected for 7 years. Every time we'd make a variance that no RV parking in multifamily. Well, no one ever asked for RV parking in multifamily. But we had an ordinance that required an anchor. It said we had to have so many spots of RV parking. And it was silly. We finally got it out of our ordinance. And there's a lot of other things in the ordinance that are similar to that have not been updated in 30, 40 years, that create weird anchor points for people to revolve around, which we all know don't exist in real life and have not been followed by anyone as long as I've been on council. So we need to really update that ordinance and fix it. And I appreciate Mr. Vanderbilt talking about the plan for the old Riverland Amusement Park. When we talked about buying the property, it was to help control the corridor and create the future Riverwalk Park. Even with development there, I think we have good partners in the corridor that are allowing us to create that Riverwalk and the park. And I think that's essential. And I sometimes feel like people want to come up to the microphone and try to play gotcha. They want to say, oh, you said this once and now we're doing this. But they're not thinking it through to the ultimate level. The ultimate goal, at least for me, and I assume the rest of city council, is to have a thriving Van Dyke corridor, a North Van Dyke corridor, and also a brand new park system that's linked to that thriving Van Dyke corridor. And it seems to me that this new project coming seems to envision that too. And I'm thankful for that. But I appreciate Mr. Vanderpool saying that plans do change a little bit. What we thought at one point might not always be the way it has to go. But the reason that we're going out for this millage this year, this pathways and preservation millage, is to control more of our own destiny, control more of our own land, to preserve it, protect it, and hopefully keep it for future generations. All I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt.
Just quickly, through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool, has Priority Waste been in contact with us since they absorbed or merged or whatever, took on 700,000 more residents after our contract was signed?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Councilman Schmidt, I'm not sure what I mean by
Well,
have they been in contact with us.
My concern is, they have a contract with us, and we have an expectation that they follow through with their obligations of that contract, and I understand how contracts work. However, they just took on a huge load within 3 weeks of a start, and I'm really concerned that our residents are going to suffer because of it. So how are we keeping track, or have they been in contact with us to assure us that our service is not going to be affected?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Schmidt, yes, I've had personal conversations with the CEO of Priority, and he assures me there'll be no degradation of service in Sterling Heights. But more importantly than that, there's performance standards that they have to meet. Garbage has to be collected on the day it's supposed to be collected within a certain time frame, with few exceptions, and they can be fined, as we did with GFL when there were periodic performance issues. By the way, we had far many more complaints under GFL than we currently have with Priority in any given month. So I think the service in that respect has improved. But we have individuals in the field every day, including a manager, that his job is to touch in with the Priority supervisors every day and respond to inquiries that we're getting. So we monitor them very closely. We follow up with complaints that come in. A lot of times, with the video cameras now on the truck, it's a matter of better public education. You need to have your carts out by X time. If you don't, you run the chance of the truck coming and missing the collection, the resident missing the collection. So the cameras have been a big help. Now, we look at cameras regularly to verify if there was any problem with the set out. Sometimes individuals may set a bag out on top of the can that was collected the first month, but it isn't now. That has to be inside the can because everything, again, is mechanically collected now to expedite the collection services. And that controlled and reduced our costs significantly compared to the second bidder, which was GFL, saving us millions of dollars over 10 years. So the point is we do monitor this very closely. We have not seen any degradation in service since Priority started assuming other accounts, and we'll continue to watch it closely.
Okay, thank you. And also, while we're on the subject, could you go over the rebate for the yard waste containers that the city is offering for a very short, limited time?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Councilman Schmidt. So essentially, it started July 1st, so this week it'll run for 90 days. The city periodically offers a discount or rebate discount programs. For example, you can get discount trees, and the discount amount fluctuates periodically and so on. So we run these programs periodically. This is a bit unique, but so run for 90 days. You simply order the cart the way you always do. You simply go to the website, Priority's website, order the cart. You do pay for the cart, and then within 30 days, every 30 days, we download a report or will download a report from the Priority website, review those that have purchased the yard waste cart, and then those individuals will get a $60 rebate. It takes a little bit of time to process the rebate, but everyone who buys a cart within that 90-day period will get the $60 rebate. They don't have to do anything. There's no special form that has to be processed. You don't have to go to our website. You don't have to call us. All you have to do is purchase the yard waste cart, and you will automatically, within the 90-day period, get a rebate mailed to you from the city.
Okay. And lastly, I want to wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Schmidt. Anyone else?
I'll go ahead.
Mrs. Rouse.
Thank you. So I have some very interesting things that I observed tonight. So, and one of them was, it really concerned me when Miss Keisha Burns came up and she was very calm, very, very well-spoken, but brought up some very concerning points. And one of those things was that she felt very unheard and very discriminated against by our city, and brought up some points that I know that Mr. Vanderpool will deal with these city issues quite well with the treatment that she had received or felt that she had received, and hopefully we'll be able to resolve her issues. But I wanted to bring up some things that were very interesting that she said about looking at the council and feeling that she wasn't represented. And a couple of those things I wanted to kind of just point out, and to not representing her. So, and not feeling that you're seeing a bunch of white people up here and not representing her. And it is true that by looking at us, we look like a bunch of kind of older, except for Mr. Radke and Mr. Taylor.
Wait a second here.
I was very clear. Older white people up here, and but maybe we need to point out some things.
And
so.
Mrs. Schmidt.
Oh, of course, and Mrs. Schmidt.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, they're younger than me, but okay, yes.
I like you more.
Just different, but just a bunch of medium-aged white people. Anyway, I know.
Yeah.
Get her another shovel.
I know, I'm just, yeah, I'm in a hole, I gotta stop digging. But to look at us, we might look similar. Let me start to my far left. Mr. Yanez, he is a Hispanic male. So there you go. Not your typical male. He does have, he is a browner skinned male.
I don't know where this is going.
I know, dang it, but I'm just gonna go with it. Let me go with this, okay? I'm going with it. Mrs. Schmidt, she is of Italian-American descent. My great-grandparents were African-American. So what you look at us and you think, what? But this is the story. Women could not buy a house. My mother couldn't buy a house on her own when she was 30. She couldn't own a credit card on her own. So these are just things, so women couldn't even be represented 30 years ago, 40 years ago maybe, and have these positions.
Excuse me, please.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
I know, you would love, certain people would
Liz,
love
1
it.
second, Liz.
Okay.
The gentleman who's been making comments all night has been making comments all night. And I've let him get away with it because the meeting was short, but I'm getting a little bit frustrated that he has something to say about everything up here. So I'd ask you to call him to order, and if not, have him removed.
I did call him to order just now. Please, we didn't interrupt you, sir. We didn't interrupt you. You went past your time. We let you speak past your time. Please, we don't need interruptions from the audience. Thank you. Mrs. Sarowski.
So my point being, although it does seem like it was a shorter time ago, or longer time ago, it wasn't that long ago, that we were, many of us, in minorities, more minorities than it was. So we do want to appreciate and everyone to understand that we are representing different types of minorities, even though we look very similar. But I don't want to minimize that Ms. Burns feels unheard. So we are going to make an effort, and I'm making sure to reach out to her. I want to get her number. But I want to make sure that she understands that she is heard. And it's important for those that feel, even if we don't feel that maybe they're unheard, we think that we're hearing them, or we're trying to give them every opportunity to be heard. People still feel unheard, and it's important for them to understand that we're going to reach out to them. So that's where I'm going with all of that. And then a different note. The Fire Academy, August 23rd. So for those that are interested in doing that Fire Academy, to reiterate, it's August 23rd is the date that you need to sign up for it. It's really fun. I went and did it. A lot of our council people have gone and participated with it. Any of you in the audience, sir, you might like it too. It's really interesting to be a part of it and to see what the fire department goes through. Extricating somebody using the jaws of life on a car. You see how heavy those darn things are? I couldn't even lift it myself. Great time to do that. And finally, I think that we need to wish a farewell to the existing lakeside as it is, and a very fond farewell. I spent lots and lots of hours and thousands probably of dollars, unfortunately for my husband, at Lakeside when my children were little and I had to keep busy while those were in school and between jobs. It's going to be very exciting to see what the new Lakeside is going to be. It will be bringing in millions of dollars to the city, and I ask your patience and you to be hopeful and to be excited with us. And then again, happy 4th of July as we celebrate this great country. And please keep the troops in your hearts. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Anyone else? Mrs. Zarko.
Mayor Taylor, thank you. Just a request. First of all, if we could be provided reports on all the issues that were brought up tonight that we might not have been updated on a regular basis. So there was a lot brought up tonight that I want to see the background on all of these issues, so that they can be corrected. Now, I'm probably going to start something here, but the yard waste cans that were already purchased for the full amount are not eligible for this rebate now? Through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool. And I guess I would like to know how many yard waste cans have been purchased already.
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilwoman Zarko, essentially the rebate program is for the 90-day period of time. I mean, this happens periodically when there is a a discount program, or in this case, a rebate program. There's no easy way to cut it off. We have these philosophical debates with our special assessment program and other programs that exist in the city. There is no clear delineation point. Having said that, if residents purchase a card, recently and maybe just miss the date, we'll certainly take some of their concerns and those issues into consideration and encourage them to contact our DPW department, and we'll review them accordingly. We've had approximately 1,200 yard waste carts purchased to date.
Thank you. And lastly, I just want to congratulate Mrs. Riska again, because she's very helpful to all of us, and she was at a conference about 2 weeks ago. I was with MML on their retreat, and actually during that period of time, we were back and forth about where the clerk stood on the election reforms and the bills that were out there, and how MML was going to handle what they do for us as far as lobbying on that. So, yeah, even though she was at a conference, she was still talking to me, so I really appreciate it, and she helped MML as well. So she's going to do a great job. So look forward to that and wish her the best. Nothing further.
Thank you, Mrs. Zarko.
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Costa.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mr. Vanderpool, just to clarify in regard to the yard waste, we had a little conversation with my neighbor tonight, and he complained about his yard waste not getting picked up because the lid did not close on the container. Now, I have a container that has a lid, and I'm going to put some stickers on it that say compost. It's a black can, and I take my yard waste and I put it in bags and I put it in that can. Now, if I don't close that lid, are they not going to take my yard waste?
Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Koski, the situation is that it depends on the situation. If in your neighbor's case, again, we'll probably have to look at the video with your neighbor. They may have had the cart facing the wrong way, where the lid was, it just couldn't be dumped properly. The carts have to be facing the street, as noted in our Q&A, which most residents are very accustomed to doing, so that the mechanical arm can pick it up and dump it into the bin without the lid getting caught and damaged in any way. So that may have been the case with your neighbor. What I have seen anecdotally throughout the city is 9 times out of 10, the lids are not closed completely tight. They may be open an inch, maybe 6 inches. There's been no problem dumping those whatsoever. In this particular case, it's hard to tell without reviewing the video and looking into it in more detail exactly what happened here. But I will take a look at it, and I'll be happy to report back to you.
The reason I asked is because I watched them pick up the can and dump it, and the lid does not have to be closed, because as soon as they pick it up and start to tip it over, or they actually flip open the lid before they even dump it. So to me, that shouldn't be an issue. I think it was just, maybe it was overfilled, and that's why they decided not to do it. Anyway, one other thing, I was one of many that received their tax bill today. I am the average. I am taxable value $119,000. My total bill is $4,181.87. I'm in the Utica School District. The city operating is now $1,291.23 for me. So I'm going on record, I am voting no on the tax millage, because I think that if you're getting $1,291 from me, and I am the average, I think you can find enough money to replace my 4 slabs of sidewalk, which is all I have, if they all get destroyed in the budget. So I'm voting no. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Kosky. Anyone else? 24. All right. Well, I want to thank people for coming out and participating and providing us with the information. As Ms. Zarko said, we will look into that. We'll get those reports. It'll be provided to us by the city administration, and we will follow up with you and try to correct any issues that there may be and better understand what the issues are. Hope everybody has a very happy 4th of July holiday. And I too want to say that a bittersweet goodbye to Lakeside as it was. I know a lot of members of the community took some time this past weekend to go out and see it one more time, and I certainly did as well. So I want to thank all of the people who have worked at Lakeside Mall, all the people who have helped make Lakeside Mall the incredible place that it was for almost 50 years. It was an important part of Sterling Heights history and always will be, and we're very excited about what's yet to come. So stay tuned for more updates coming over the course of the next several months, and then we expect next year will be hopefully a very busy year with happenings here at the city council meetings and planning commission meetings, culminating in optimistically shovels in the ground by the end of next year. So, council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Support.
I moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.